Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your patience in getting in Zoom today. And please put your name in the chat box. Thank you so much. Awesome, awesome. Okay, cool. All right. So apologies for the slow start. Zoom was kind of being a little slow on my end. Okay, so good morning. It's Tuesday, July 21st, and we have this week, and then next week is our final exam. So we're really closing in on the summer 2020, and I think it's been really amazing so far for me. I've really, really enjoyed this class, and we have a few really exciting things to talk about before the end of the semester. But one thing that's great about this week is that you don't have a quiz, so you're done with your quizzes, and you only have your final exam left. I will share details about the final exam on Thursday. I don't want to talk about it much today just because we have an important assignment to talk about today that is worth 30 points, and then your final exam is worth 50 points. So they're both right up there with points that are important to earn, and so today I really want to focus on that assignment. So before we get talking about that, though, I do want to talk about, no, sorry, Madison, I see your message. I reopened a quiz for another student. So quiz number 4 is open this morning, I think from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. I think those are the times I put it on, but I'm opening that quiz up for another student. So you might be seeing that, but there shouldn't be any other quizzes there's no quiz that's due this week. Okay, so before we get talking about the assignment, I want y'all to put in the chat box one joyful thing that you have done in the last few days. So what's something that you've done that has brought you some joy? It can be big or small. Put one thing in the chat box that has brought you joy or has just kind of made you feel good. And we'll get going with that. The reason I'm asking this question is because I feel like people are really trying to navigate being in a pandemic, but still wanting to live your life. And so I think there's some creative ways to go about it while being safe. And so I was just curious what y'all have been trying to do out there in the world, or in your house. That's totally fine. That's completely acceptable too. Name one joyful thing that you've done in the last few days. Audio is kind of going in and out. Okay. I think I'm going to just unplug my headphones and see how that works. Otherwise, it might be internet on your end or my end. Yeah, please leave a comment if the audio is going in and out on my end, or if anything else is up. Okay, I'm gonna just read some of the responses. Feel free to interject if you'd like to. You can raise your hand or just unmute yourself. It's up to you, but I'll just kind of read through folks' responses here. Okay, I went tubing in San Diego Bay. Cool. Went to Top Golf with my kids. That's cool. I'm guessing that's a place, Top Golf. That sounds nice. I watched a movie with my younger sister. Cool. And the question is on the screen. Can y'all see the screen? I just want to make sure you can see. Okay, cool. Good. So the check-in question, name one joyful thing you've done in the last few days. Watched a movie with my family. Awesome. What movies did y'all watch? If you can put that in there, that would be great. I really like watching movies too, but I'm kind of lazy when it comes to looking for movies. In the last few days, I created a short sound loop using a music program. Cool. Good job, Oscar. I know that can be hard to do. Creating sound, that's awesome. April, I bought a bike and I've been going on long sunset bike rides with my boyfriend. Cool. That sounds nice. That sounds really cool. Golfing with friends, played basketball with friends, making time to get together with family. I learned how to make resin pour jewelry. Whoa, that's really cool. That sounds really cool. Like bracelets or necklaces? Resin pour, that's awesome. Ellie, I started a new show on Netflix. Yes, I love that feeling. I love that feeling when you start a new show. You know it's gonna be good, and you're just like ready to dive into it. Jogging. Good. I went with my partner to the Japanese friendship garden. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. You know what's so funny about that? So I used to work at the Japanese Friendship Garden as a curator, and I was reflecting about this assignment, and I was like, I really miss working at the Japanese Friendship Garden because it's so beautiful there. So that's so cool. I think they did shut down again. I was on their website this morning. I think they're closed again, but I'm sure they'll open up back up real quick. That is so cool. Went to Las Cuatro Milpas. Awesome. Cool. First time. Awesome. Did it meet your expectations? Yeah. How long did you wait in line for?
It was really brief. It was like no more than 3 minutes. They were pretty fast.
That's good. That's good. And what did you get?
I got a chicken burrito. I had something soft because I also had a dental implant, and it was kind of like a treat afterward.
Oh, that's so nice. That's awesome. Yeah, that place is really, really good. Their tortillas are like so thick. They're really like thick tortillas. Let's see here. The only thing that I have thought with joy these last days is that we have almost finished the summer classes and it's been a very gratifying experience. Yeah, we're almost done. Yeah, it's a good job for being here. I learned how to make necklaces, earrings, and keychains. Awesome. Daniel says, will you go over the extra credit? Maybe. Let's see. April, that was my mother's first job in the US. Your mother's first job was what? Las Cuatro Milpas? Or, okay, cool. That's awesome. Did she make tortillas? Because if so, that's a great, that's amazing. I wish my mom knew how to make tortillas. All right, this is awesome. So, oh, a server. Okay, cool. This is great. Yeah, I just wanted to just kind of remind, ourselves and each other that there is joy to be had out there. And I think that right now, folks are really needing to be creative in figuring out how to like move forward and find joy. So just kind of go back to the simple things, go back to what you've known before, and try to really adapt to our situation now. I think that's super important. I went camping over the weekend, and I was really nervous because I am taking the pandemic very seriously, and I didn't want to be around anybody. But after we did some research, we found a really good spot that was pretty remote, and so that was really nice to actually like do something normal. And for me to not wear a mask outside, I've been wearing a mask outside since the beginning, and so that was really nice just to be in an area and not wear a mask. And so, you know, I think that these glimpses of normalcy will hopefully continue, and we'll just, you know, be there for each other to keep going. I went camping at this place called, I'll write it down before we continue. This place called I think it's called William Heiss Campground. It's right by Julian. And I think it's where like the Girl Scouts go camping, and there's like, it's where you have gone to 6th grade camp. It's one of those places. It's really beautiful grounds. Went to Julian, did get some pie, like hopped in and out real quick. And so that was really nice. But all right. All right. Questions about the class. Okay. So Daniel had a question about extra credit. Daniel, did you have a specific question about the extra credit? Because I wasn't going to dive deep into it because I do want to leave time for this curate and exhibition assignment. So let me know if you have a specific question about that. I think off the top of my head, I can't remember the due date for the extra credit. I know it's not the last day of class, but I think it's this weekend. Okay, July 26th. Thank you. Great. Yeah, so you can still submit extra credit until July 26th, which is this coming Sunday. So feel free to do that. It's worth 10 points, which is quite a lot. So if you've missed an assignment, or if you have done not so well on inquisitive, that would be a good time to really use that. Okay, let's talk about curate and exhibition assignment. So this assignment, I'm going to share my screen with the assignment on it. Hold on a second. I'm going to explain what the word curate means, what curator means, but I was really inspired to create this assignment because I have worked as a curator before, and it's a job in the art world, in the museum, art gallery world, that is kind of highly sought after because it means that you have the knowledge, not only the knowledge, but the eye to kind of put together an art show in a cohesive way. And I think this is one of the careers in the art world that is just really key to, having these institutions. What's the point of having an art collection, an art gallery, if you're not going to show the artwork in a meaningful way that really resonates with people? So that was one of my inspirations, was that I've worked as a curator before at the Japanese Friendship Garden specifically, and in other kind of independent projects along the way. I've worked in many different careers in the art world. I've been an installer, so I've actually installed art shows before where, you know, you're using hammer, using tools to hang up artwork. I've been a collections manager, which means that you take care of the artwork and you make sure that over time it doesn't decay or there's no damage to it or anything. What else have I done? I've worked visitor services, of course. You know, you walk into the museum, hi, do you want to buy a ticket? You know, done that, of course. Anyway, so I think it's important to just really see the different careers in the art world, especially if you're considering like getting a job at a museum or in an art gallery. And these jobs are really viable jobs. They're fun. And you can start off without, you know, an education. You can just be, like I said, a gallery attendant or visitor services, selling tickets. But yeah, it's a really fun place to be. So anyways, let me show you more about this. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm just going to read from the prompt and then kind of go from there. Let me zoom in a bit. All right. Okay, so what is a curator? By definition, a curator is a keeper or a custodian of a museum or other collection. So what that means is that the curator is the content expert of a museum's collection and is responsible for telling the story of it. So in my experience, a curator is the person who selects where the artwork goes on the wall and how the visitor will experience it. So just take a look at this picture really quick. You see that there are at least 4 paintings there. On the left-hand side, you have a blue one. In the middle, you have a red one. On the kind of right middle, you have a white one. So where the artworks are, that's up to the curator. The curator has decided, I'm going to put this one here, and this one here. And what affects where the curator puts the artwork is the viewer. They are thinking about the audience, right? The people who are viewing the artwork, and they're deciding what order they want people to see the artwork, right? Because typically people walk into a space and they travel like a particular direction. I'm sure if y'all have taken psychology, you know there's some principles of like, you know, following others and just kind of going with the flow, right? And that's the same with museums and art spaces. You enter a space, you typically, you know, maybe go to your right-hand side, you view this white one first, you continue on to this red one, and then the blue one. And the sequence of viewing the artwork, that's what's really important to a curator. But there's more to it than that, and we're going to watch a short video about it in just a second. Let's see here. As we have seen in the virtual museums we visited, the artwork and artifacts in these places are carefully selected and designed in such a way to elevate your experience and aid in your education while viewing the objects. So they're just carefully placed, educated perspectives of hanging the artwork. So a curator tells you what you are seeing and why. They help you come to conclusions about an artwork, and they help you understand importance and significance. So I'm going to show you a video of what a curator does, what curating an exhibit means, and how you can really view this process as very creative. And it's kind of like designing, you know, a show, like any other kind of like entertaining show. But let me tell you a little bit about what I'm expecting from you all, because I know that's what you're, you know, anticipating, right? So I'd like you all to curate a mini exhibition by selecting 5 artworks that when you put them together, they tell a story. So list the artworks in order of how the viewer will experience them and write 5 short captions after each artwork describing how the viewer is seeing them, right? Seeing these artworks and what the significance of the artworks are, or the significance of what the viewer should be seeing. So basically, I want you to just put forth 5 images of artworks with 5 short captions explaining the importance of the theme, the subject matter, or the medium that's being shown. I do have a structure for how I want you to list the 5 artworks, and we'll get into that in just a minute, okay? I want to show you the video of what curating is, what curating an exhibition means, and to just get a little bit more familiar with that. And if you have questions, hang tight for just a minute, because maybe they'll be answered by watching the video or by when I share a little bit more about the structure. Okay. Can y'all see the video portion? It says curating an exhibition. Okay, good. All right, let me go ahead and play this.
We've got a really flexible space here, and we change it on average every sort of 8 to 10 weeks.
All the exhibitions are completely different, and everyone brings a different set of challenges.
You can change the look and the feel of it. Sometimes we change the wall colors. We've got screens on wheels that you can move around. You can use all of them, or you can use none of them. It's really important not just to think about what you're putting in the space in terms of artworks, but also kind of how you configure it and what the experience is for the visitor. going round that exhibition, you can create a mood with how you treat your exhibition space, a mood, an atmosphere, and I think visitors really respond to that. We actually have an exhibitions panel that considers all upcoming ideas for exhibitions.
I sit on the exhibitions advisory panel and I get to hear all of the different exhibitions that are put forward, and I'm able to have my say as to whether I think that they are going to be popular or not.
That's a really kind of healthy process, because if you consult with others, you know, not just at the beginning but throughout the process, you're much more likely to get it right. Considering your audience is like the golden rule. You've got to do that from the start, because the success of the exhibition will stand or fall on the extent to which it's visited.
Most of the time, you can kind of work out what the audience is going to be, and you can really build it around them.
You distribute the focal points around the room because you want them to draw people in particular directions.
There's a really wide variety of different ways of laying out an exhibition, and it really is dependent on the space, what you're exhibiting, and what the curator is trying to express to the visitors.
There's always a narrative, a story that you're trying to tell. The narrative, in a way, dictates the order in which the works are displayed.
We do tend to do it chronologically. We can do it by theme occasionally.
People like to have a story. They like to follow a narrative, and if you can achieve that in your layout, then I think it makes a better exhibition.
So what they're talking about here so far is the fact that it's kind of like a movie in the sense that you sit down, right? There's an introduction, the plot is unfolding, you're learning about the characters, and then later on throughout the movie, right, there's conflict, then at the end there's resolution, and it's a whole story, right, a whole arc. And the same goes with an art museum. You walk into the space and there's typically a title wall, or like the title on the wall, right? And then like a short description of what you are going to see. That's like your introduction. And then you walk in further into the space and you learn more about what they're trying to show you. So you're learning more either about an individual artist, or you're learning more about a style, or you're learning more about a subject. For example, like resin and jewelry, right? You're learning about first the resin, then you're learning about how to make jewelry. And there's these different ways to kind of share with you a particular subject or a topic. And so curating is really about creating that story, right? And what we're seeing so far in this video is that there's different ways to tell it, depending on your audience, depending on what kind of artwork you have, but typically there's different elements. So you have that introduction. Typically you have a moment in the art show that's kind of like your wow moment. You have either like a big piece, or a really colorful piece, or an interactive artwork. You have like this moment in the middle of the art show where you're just like, your attention is there for a minute, for a while, right? And then towards the end, there's kind of a more like wrapping up scenario where you have maybe smaller pieces or calming pieces. They said that that show went from younger to mature, so they're showing like toys, you know, but then the artist matures a little bit to show like sculptures of these toys, like dragons. And so you can really organize shows in so many different ways based on a certain theme or a certain subject or a certain topic. I'm going to show you an example of what I want y'all to do, so don't get too nervous. But curating an exhibition can be as extensive as like creating a model, right, and putting the different artworks in there like he was doing. it can be creating a virtual model. It can be, you know, it's kind of like storyboarding, right? If we're going to use the movie metaphor, it's kind of like storyboarding what you want to show to the audience, right? So I'm going to just fast forward a little bit to show the end where they give some really good examples of just kind of marketing, but also how the space can change. So I want you to notice about how the gallery changes each exhibition. Like, not only are you changing the artworks, but you can change a number of different aspects. So let's just watch the rest of it.
You've got to get your message out there using as many different means and platforms as possible.
You need to focus not only on the title, because the title is what people are going to see before they see the exhibition.
Titles, a bit like labels, need to be pithy and to the point. They need to kind of mean something to your audience.
You also need to think about the photography you're going to use, the images you're going to use,
Posters, because that's how people really get an idea of it.
and definitely in marketing, one of your big considerations should be your budget. Marketing is quite an expensive thing to do. Placing an advert can cost lots of money, and you need to be mindful of the fact that if you place that advert, how many people do you then need to attract on a £4 ticket to make that advert pay for itself?
The more preparation you do in advance, the less pressure you'll be under when it comes to actually putting the work on display.
I think if you wanted to put on your own exhibition, my advice would be to really know your subject.
Have a clear idea of what you want to achieve, really have fun with it, and develop something which you're really proud of.
Bounce your ideas off others, pull in as much help as you can from the outset, make sure you're having fun.
So based off that little time lapse, put in the chat box what you think can change throughout an exhibition. Like, what can you change in order to really change the perspective or the show? You know, like what can you curate to someone's experience? Like, what can you change, you know, to like add to the art show? What are the different kind of varying factors in an art space? I'll play this again while we're kind of looking. Well, what are some things that change from art show to art show? Like, what are some of the variables? You have the space, right? It's an art gallery. It's kind of like a laboratory. And you have the freedom to change that laboratory every single exhibition, right? Every single new art show. So what are some things that you can change? Good, yeah. You can change the theme. Yeah, definitely. You can change what you want folks to pay attention to. Definitely. You can change the wall colors, the position of the walls, because wall colors affect people's moods, right? And how you position them affects how they walk through the space. So these are, yeah, the different variables that you're choosing. You can change the name of the room. So yeah, what they were alluding to there was the title, like the title of the exhibition. You can change that every time. You can change the lighting. Yes, lighting certainly sets a mood. And if you've been to a show where it's like immersive, where you're in a space and the lighting is just so like all around you, it feels really different, right? You can change storylines. Yes, you can change the structure of the room. Exactly. You can change the time period. You can make it interactive. Yes, so you can change, for example, if there's like 5 TV monitors in the art show, and instead of looking at artworks every 2 seconds, they're seeing an artwork and then a video, then an artwork and then a video. So all of these things you can really change every time you have a new show. You can also incorporate smell. Like, some people will have a certain smell like wafting through the art gallery. You can do yeah, how you display the art, if you're gonna make it big or if you're gonna make it small, all of these things really change the way that you're walking through the space. Okay, let me go back to um, the prompt here. Let's see. Okay, so we don't have time to create a real model, right? I don't have time to teach you how to make a virtual model, unfortunately. But I do want you to experience what it's like to select artworks and have your viewer experience them like in sequential order. So it's just going to be very simple. Like I said, you're going to pick 5 artworks, 5 images of artworks, and you're going to put them together in a way where the viewer is experiencing them and you're kind of telling a story. So I have a structure for y'all to follow since it's your first time curating. So here are the details here. First thing, find an artwork you love and think about why you like it. So the first part is to really brainstorm a theme or a topic or a subject that you really enjoy and to find artwork within that. I suggest picking an artwork from your book to start with and then finding other artworks on the internet to bring into your art show. So I wouldn't pick all 5 artworks from your book. I would just start off with 1, maybe 2, and then do some Googling and some searching online to find other artworks. Also, you don't have to pick art from the book at all. For example, if you follow an artist on social media, you can pick one of their artworks and then research other artists or other, common artworks with the same theme and kind of group that into your group of 5. Let's see here. Next, create a title for your exhibition. So what are you going to call your art show? And then list the artworks in order of how the viewer will see them or experience them. Like I showed you in the photo at the very top, your viewer is going to walk in and view them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So consider having this following structure. The first artwork is the one that really introduces the viewer to your topic and your subject. It tells us what we're going to be looking at, what we're going to be learning about. The second artwork, it confirms the topic and the subject. So it's something that is just another example of what the topic or the subject is and what we should be looking at, right? Remember, you're kind of guiding your viewer, you're educating them. The third artwork is what I call the showstopper or the wow factor that I was talking about earlier. It's really a truly significant example of this topic and subject. It is the pinnacle of success in this topic and subject. So for example, the third artwork might be the one that is like your favorite, right? That's just like so impactful and meaningful for you. That can be the showstopper. Or it can be like the colorful one, the big one, right? It's just it's whatever you think is important and significant. The fourth artwork I call the exception. So it's an artwork that is part of your topic and subject, but it looks a little bit different. And it's important to really acknowledge this kind of like, it's like your counter argument, right? It's a way to kind of acknowledge that the topic and subject might not look the same across like the spectrum, and here's some varying like differences. The fifth artwork would be your favorite, the favorite. So your personal favorite and why. So a lot of shows tend to end with a personal narrative or an experience or just another way to like learn more about the artist. So you can pick an artwork that you think is just really your favorite, but different than the showstopper. So your favorite in the sense that you're really connecting with it and others will connect with it also. So let me show you what the assignment will look like. I made an example here. This example is actually from a real show, but I don't want you to use a real show to do this. I'm just using this as an example because I thought it was a really good example. But I want you to create your own art shows. So the title of this art show is Studio 54 Night Magic. So Studio 54, just to preface this a little bit, is an infamous nightclub, was an infamous nightclub in the, I want to say the 70s. And it was really famous for its vibrant culture. Andy Warhol frequented this nightclub, and it was known just for being a place of like rebel rousing, right? For clubbing. And so this artwork is consisting mostly of photographs of Studio 54. So the first artwork I picked, so the first artwork, right, is meant to introduce your viewer to the topic and the subject. So the first artwork I picked is by Guy Marino. And so I chose this photograph because I'm bringing you into this space. I'm introducing you to what this show is all about. And I feel like this photo really encapsulates what this show is going to be about. And then I wrote a short caption here. And I put, you see the light reflecting, the way the fabric garment is moving through the air, the freedom and calmness in the subject's face. She is welcoming you into the notorious Studio 54, the iconic nightclub famous for its theatrics and its most infamous guest, Andy Warhol. So in the first caption, I'm just sharing with you more about this photo and what I think is important to know about it. It's really important to state your subject and your theme or your topic here to get us to see, right? Because this photo could also be the first artwork in a different kind of show. It could be in a fashion show. It can be in a show about clothing. It can be in a show about dance. But this artwork is in this specific show for this specific reason. Okay, the second one I chose is Rose Hartman, Woman in Red. And this one, again, according to the structure, is just kind of confirming like what the first photo confirmed. And that's that this was a place of extravagance. I wrote, we see yet another woman in an extravagant outfit with yet another strong presence. The light is reflecting off her face, showing that she's in a dark room with celebratory lights and a social ambiance. Covered head to toe in the vibrant color red, paired with red lipstick. She is again taking up space in the club and finding her freedom. But I also wanted to share that she seems lonely because there's that dark, like vastness, right, of the photograph. And so what I'm posing to you, the audience, is where is she going? Where has she been? So that's kind of a fun way to draw your audience in. So the third one, the showstopper, I pictured this being the showstopper because I pictured it, and I described this in my caption, but I pictured this being blown up and printed on the wall. So like you walk into the space and like there's just a huge wall with this picture. And so when you walk in and you get close to it, you feel like you're actually in it. So that's kind of like my showstopper piece. And that's kind of the end of my example here. The last two are just a bit more personal and up to you. But again, just follow like what you really enjoy in art, what you really like in art, and that will help you decide which ones are important. So again, you can pick an artwork that is your favorite and start with that, or you can just pick a topic that you really like maybe you want to see gender in art, politics in art. Try to get really specific. Maybe you're making a show only about cat art or something, you can make an art show about anything. And I really want you to personalize it to the best of your ability. So get specific, do a lot of Googling. Another important aspect to this is to find images that are clear and big, because I want you to kind of put them this size on the document. You can also create a slideshow, or you can just put them in a document. It's up to you. I wanted to keep it really simple with the intention of the thought being the order of the images is what really matters. So, okay, so that's what I have for y'all. Any questions so far? I know I threw a lot at you. But the point is that you're giving us your perspective of what you find valuable in art. and kind of guiding us through that experience. Okay. If you have a question, you can put it in the chat box. Of course, we're already running out of time, and I have more things to share with you. So let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to raise your hand too. I can answer you that way. It's due Sunday, April 26th at midnight. The artwork does not have to be from the textbook, but I do recommend starting there. If you have no idea where to start, pick like your favorite section in the book, look through some of the artworks there, and but I wouldn't pick all 5 from the book, just because there's so much artwork out there that I don't think anything in the book actually, I don't think there's 5 images in the book that really fit together in the same theme and subject. They all kind of bounce around different themes and subjects. But definitely start in your favorite section, pick a piece, and then, for example, I'll just do a quick example, and then I'm gonna move on. Let's see here. If I just flip the book open, I flipped to this piece on manufacturing. Hold on, I want to spill my coffee. This piece is a piece on manufacturing. It's a photograph, and it says manufacturing number 17, data chicken processing plant. And so what I would do is, if this was my favorite piece, I would maybe explore the theme of manufacturing. I would explore maybe this style of landscape photography. I would explore like social issues in art. And so these are some of the keywords that you can put in Google and just kind of explore, right? Artists who work in manufacturing, or artists who are concerned with social issues. Artists who work in China, this photo is from China. Artists who, you know, are interested in the environment, and then just kind of like go from there, right? So that's like a good piece to start off with, but all of these pieces in here are just really stellar ones that you can like read a little bit about and then search from there. Okay. Does the artwork have to, when is this due? Oh, we already did that. Got it. Start with an image from the textbook. Yes. Yeah, start with an image from the textbook. Maybe Google the artist's name. Google the artist's name and then see what other artists come up. That's another good way to go about this. If you Google the artist names and see what kind of show they've been in, maybe you can see other artists from other shows and just kind of explore that way. Okay, cool. So we have 10 minutes left, and I do want to share with you an artist from this week's topic. And I know we don't have a quiz, but I think y'all will really like this artist, so I wanted to share them with you. So his name is El Anatsui. He is an artist from Ghana, and I just wanted to bring to your attention an artist from Africa, because if you notice in your book, the African art section is really small. And that's because a number of different reasons, but the art world does tend to prioritize art from Europe, art from the United States, and art can sometimes be an elitist practice that doesn't highlight indigenous cultures or artwork that is not deemed artwork, right? Like, so anyways, I wanted to highlight El Anatsui because he is a contemporary artist from Ghana, and he is making artwork that it's not, you know, indigenous in the sense that it's from the past, but he is referencing different indigenous items, like, for example, kente cloth. In his artwork, you'll see the inspiration for him to create artwork that looks like kente cloth. Kente cloth, it's in your book, but it's a way to to dress oneself and to use the colors to symbolize royalty, symbolize importance, wealth. Kente cloth is still something that you see people wearing today. And it's a little bit more accessible now, so more people are wearing kente cloth. But its purposes in ancestry is meant to show someone who is royal, right? It's the royal kind of like uniform. So Ella Anatsui sees the kente cloth and the way that it's put together, and he creates his own kind of version of it. He's in your book as well, but he creates these huge installations, so these huge pieces that represent kente cloth and represent his culture of being from Ghana, but there's still something a little bit off about them. It's kind of hard to tell, right, like what the material is. So I want you to just take a look at this piece and try to figure out what it's made of. Or how do you think he made it? Looks like wood. Cool. That's cool. It looks plastic. What do you guys think about the colors? Cool. So from far away, like it does resemble fabric because there are folds, right? There is like this kind of texture that makes it feel like it can be worn. But it's actually not any kind of fabric, any kind of woven fabric. It's little bottle caps and pieces of aluminum. So yes, he's using the traditional colors from Ghana, the red, the yellow, to kind of symbolize like royalty and wealth and importance. But yeah, this piece is actually made of thousands of little bottle caps and pieces of aluminum. And Daniel, I like that you said it looked like wood, just because he is an artist. He's 76. He's an artist who originally worked in wood, but then eventually moved on to creating these more like structural pieces. Let me show you another one. Here's another one here. This one definitely has more folds in it, and it looks soft, right? This one looks definitely like a little bit more soft. But again, it's all pieces of aluminum. And the reason that he's working with these aluminum bottle caps is, one, because he's interested in using his voice to talk about the environment, to talk about waste, right? This piece is absolutely about waste. It's about, you know, how many bottle caps do you have to collect to actually weave them together and create this huge piece that looks like fabric, right? And where does he get these from? Is he drinking, you know, hundreds and hundreds of bottles of soda or beer or whatever to find these bottle caps? Probably not. He's probably getting them from a recycling plant and repurposing them. But why? You know, why is he so connected to the bottle cap, to pieces of aluminum? And this is where with conceptual art, you have double, sometimes triple meanings in these artworks. And for him, I'll just read it from the book. I think it's important to read specific words. Let's see here. Okay. So this piece is made from discarded liquor bottle tops. Ella Anatsui chose bottle tops as his material because European traders bartered alcohol for African goods. Slaves were shipped from Ghana to the sugar plantations of the Caribbean. Then in turn, rum was shipped from there back to Africa. So these bottle tops, they remind us of the slave trade from Ghana to the Caribbean, as well as highlighting the way in which modern consumerism discards waste. And then the artist's use of traditional design suggests both the enduring power and the fragility of Ghanaian culture. So he's touching on all of these different aspects of waste, of even like a waste of life, right? With like the slave trade, colonialism, of, you know, being part of a rich indigenous culture, but that culture being replaced by something else. And so I really like this piece because it really draws on the humanity, you know, of who we are, and what we're about and what we leave behind. So not only is this piece telling us a story of colonialism, the slave trade, but it's telling a story of our future as well. Like where will this discarded trash end up next? You know, like how are we preserving our stories and preserving our cultures? So I want to show you a short video before we leave of El Anatsui showing you his process behind how he makes these. And part of that process is hiring workers to actually make pieces for him. And I mentioned this in a class earlier, but a lot of artists don't make the work themselves. They often hire people and contract the work out in order to like create these really big pieces, but that stem from their idea. And so I think it's really interesting how El Anatsui approached this, and how he's really creating like an economy out of his artwork, out of contemporary art. He's really famous for being so famous from such a small place. So I think that's really cool too. He didn't have to move to New York or LA to be shown in these really prestigious places. He, you know, still lives in Ghana. He went to school in Ghana. His family's in Ghana, and it's really cool that he just was able to remain in his village and draw attention to his village through his artwork. So anyways, let's watch this short video and then I'll let you all go. We'll talk about it for a second and we'll go.
The studio is located in the university town of Nsukka in southeastern Nigeria. It's about 10-20 minutes by walking north of the university campus. There are times that I come in unexpectedly and I'll park my car elsewhere and walk in, and you hear there's a lot of, how do you call it now, banter. Yeah, very loud banter. When I go in, then they all keep quiet. Yeah, because I always demand that there should be absolute silence, or as much silence as possible. Because I try to impress upon them that a studio is a sacred place that you come to do some bit of reflection and thinking. For each new, say, pattern or texture that I'm introducing, I have to show them how it's done. Because I find that as an artist, if you don't maintain physical contact with handling the material, for instance, the work might end up not having a soul.
On the line there.
First of all, they have to do the units. We call them blocks. And a block can consist of maybe 200 and something bottle caps together. You know, and so you take these units and then start playing around with them. Then that's when you now have to lay all of them out, scatter them in the studio, and then start picking what you need for each portion of the work. Put them together in a bunch and you try try to see what it can suggest. Starting from there, something that you feel is interesting or something effective, then you have started a new idea. You just play around, shift around, and at times for days you can just keep shifting things around and taking photographs of them and putting them on the computer. And so I have a lot of images on my computer. In course of time, I could go back and just keep looking at this. You need to have a large bank of images, of effects, of textures, that I can always refer to, and they could trigger off new ideas. Because ideas do come at very unusual times.
Cool. What I love about that artwork is that it's not precious, right? It's something that he was just kind of throwing around, stretching it, pulling it. It's something to be really experimented with. And I like that he kind of destroys this idea that art can't be touched. It's very like precious, 6 feet around, it's something that you can really get up close to. And at the end of the day, it's aluminum, right? It's this like very cheap like material, but he's using traditional art principles and elements that were made famous in paintings of like Van Gogh and Impressionists and Renoir, like different portrait artists. He's using a lot of those similar elements of color, of composition, but he's bringing it back to his culture and reflecting his culture through that. And I think another thing that's pretty cool about his artwork, if you see it in person, is that it's very loud. Like if there's wind, if it's outside, or if there's some kind of wind or rustling, like the aluminum foil is loud, right? So I think that's something you don't really expect, because at first you see it and it looks like soft cloth, like it's quiet, but then you get up close and you can kind of hear the like tinfoil noise, which again, like all of these experiences really change meaning, and they really change just how you feel about the way that you see the world. And how you interpret it is up to you, but it's just cool to kind of be like in that human experience and learn from another person. So anyways, I wanted to explore him because I think our book does an injustice to African art. It's a very short section, and if you consider all the other chapters about European art, it's, very like disproportionate. So that's what I have for you all today. I will hang out another couple minutes if anyone has questions about the assignment that I talked about today. Or if you want to reflect on it and then send me a message, you can, or put a question in the Q&A forum. That's of course preferred, but so good job today. Thank you for hanging out, and I'll see you all on Thursday. And if you have questions, let me know. Thank you. Have a good day.